Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 Dreamcast review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at another fighter which might come as a surprise, and I mean that purely sarcastically because you might have noticed I've got an awful lot. I think this could be my last one though, at least for a long time. So if you're sick to death of seeing us put up fighter vids, well, this could very well be the last one for a while. Today though, I'm going to be taking a look at Street Fighter Alpha 3, and I have no idea why it says Saikyo Dojo there, because I've had, I think, every version of Street Fighter Alpha 3 now, and I think this is the only one I remember seeing Saikyo Dojo on. Out of the versions I've played, the PSP version is definitely, I'd say, the best, but this was the version that I could play on the TV, two-player with two fight sticks, whereas the PSP version, you couldn't. It got extra characters, so if you've got access to a Vita or PSP and a Dreamcast and you're only playing yourself, I'd probably say get the PSP version. It's definitely going to be cheaper, that's for sure, because this is quite rare now. But if, like myself, you want to play it with mates locally and you've got a couple fight sticks and you've got the VGA and that's set up to make it look beautiful, then it's well worth getting the console version. It's worth losing 4 or 5 characters, I think, for that. So there is a whole lot to mention here. You've got arcade arcade mode, versus mode, team battle. You've got training mode, options mode. You've got network, which you can't play online anymore. You've got memory card. You've got entry mode, which you can register characters for other modes, and it mainly has to do with the World Tour mode and that. Because as you play in the World Tour, it's like a campaign, and you get points depending on how well you've done, and then bulk up your character. So with one time I had a Vega with absolutely no defense, all offense and all speed, because you didn't need defense when you were twice as fast as the other character and twice as powerful, and it was just great. And then I could enter him in entry mode to use him in the other gameplays. You've got survival mode, which is pretty self-explanatory. Dramatic battle, which I'll put on, and you can also have versus dramatic battle. You've got final battle, which is a pretty pointless option, and I think they only did it because they needed one more slot. All you do is you fight Bison. That's it. You just fight Bison with any character. So it's the same as just going through the arcade mode, but just fighting Bison. Maybe it's designed for practice mode or something, I don't know. But I can only assume it was that they had 14 slots. Well, to be fair, 13 slots. They'd already made World Tour twice as big, and they didn't want to make another one twice as big, because then they might have to have made a third one twice as big and lose an option. It really does seem like it's a space filler, you know. Score ranking is pretty self-explanatory. I suppose I'll start with arcade mode and then do some music and then cut into dramatic battle to mention that. As you can see, the roster is still pretty huge, so while I've already said that you get more characters on the PSP version, you still are getting a large roster. I might as well choose Akuma, seeing as he is pretty much one of my favourite characters. You then get to choose between Xism, Eism and Yism, and I'll mention them in a little bit, probably after the music, because I'll probably have to reread the notes that I've wrote down about 100 times between the different versions. There's also then different modes when you choose it and different speeds and that, and if you see my Vampire Chronicles vid, it's essentially like that. There's just so many options and ways to play with different ways to have your character and different balances, that just because you hate one version of them doesn't mean you're always going to hate every version of them. And it's just mental, the amount of customization and the amount of options that you just get with the game. It's fantastic. So, apologies for the unannounced music, but the reason I did it is hopefully because you'll have just heard part of why I always call these games fighting games and beat-em-ups. Because I always get wrong for calling them beat-em-ups, but in the UK media it was always how they were perceived, and even in this very game, sometimes when a round starts it will say, beat 'em up guys! So it's just one of those things. I at least hope you were able to hear that. It was definitely, I think, before my neighbour's dogs just started, because I'm hearing that in the background. But anyway, let's hurry on then before dogs overtake the, well, review. Dramatic Battle is basically, it reconstructs the scene from the Street Fighter 2 anime, culminating in a fight of Ryu and Ken versus Bison, and that's what Dramatic Battle Versus is, I believe. That I've not actually managed to do Versus yet, because I've not had anyone round to be able to do it, but I'd imagine it means that player 2 is controlled by a human. At least I'd like to think it's that. Because as you can see, there's two of us on the screen here at the moment. Gen is a computer. We each have our own energy bars. I know it's a little bit confusing because there's two Akumas currently on, but the computer Akuma's the blue one, I'm the red one. And it's a cool little mode. It's very similar if you ever played Fatal Fury 1. And it's just one of those things that I really like about it. But at least it's, I suppose, more of a mode than Final Battle. But onto the V-isms and E-isms and X-isms and all sorts of other stuff. Basically, the X-ism is, it makes your character play like Super Street Fighter 2. The A-ism makes it play like Street Fighter Alpha, and the V-ism makes it play like Street Fighter Alpha 2. And it's weird in itself, because therefore there isn't really an ism to make your character play like Alpha 3, but I suppose that's with the fact that you can then make your own ism, and that's what I was explaining with being able to customise with the points, and I think maybe that's the ism itself that makes it Street Fighter Alpha 3. As I say, you then also get a choice of speed and that, and there's also a different choice of mode and that, and they all play out differently, and it's, as I say, there's just so much customization in the game. It is definitely, if you have people to play the game with, then it's definitely worth getting for that reason alone, because it's just a lot for you to do. But if you haven't got anyone to play a fighter with, and you still like the odd fighter, and you're after ones that's going to give you a lot to do on your own, this is one of the biggest fighters I have ever played. It's just absolutely massive. I really cannot do it enough justice. It's also easily one of the best games, and I think the balancing's really good, and I think the gameplay is really good, and I just think I really do love it. I can't describe it any other way. It's the reason why I've owned like every version of the game, because whenever I could, I'd buy it, the same as Street Fighter 2. Whenever I could, I'd buy that, because I just love the game. Graphically, I don't know if I've already mentioned, but especially with the VGA, it is just a beautiful looking game. Musically, I've let you listen to it because it's fantastic, so there's not really much else I can actually say about the game, other than I'd still say that the PSP version is the better version, because there's a lot more to do on it, I suppose, and you can play it on a handheld type thing. But if you've got the ability to play with people locally, and if you don't have a PSP, there's nothing wrong with the Dreamcast version. It's a fantastic version, and the ability to play locally as well in the same room with a couple of fight sticks in front of you, it just makes it another experience. It really does lift the level of the experience. It makes it magical almost. It's why it's such a shame that local multiplayer modes and co-op modes are slowly dying out, because you just don't get the same experience online, even if you're playing with your friends, because you can't really do the ribbing as well, because the amount of times over a mic. Sorry, what did you say? What? I didn't quite hear that. Something drowned you out. You know, it'll never, in my eyes, replace local gaming, no matter how good online gets, unless you can literally have a virtual person sitting there next to you, a hologram version that's like made with hard light, so you can actually touch and feel the other person, and vice versa, and you can, you know, not so much roughhouse, but like give them a hit on the arm or something, just go, nice one, you know, things like that, a fist bump in co-op games. Then online will, as far as I'm concerned, never ever replace the experience of being able to sit together, have a laugh, enjoy some possibly nice food and some nice drink, and yeah, just I've said it about 4 times now, but just overall have a laugh. So there we go then. That's been the review. I hope you found it helpful. I don't score the games because that's based purely on opinion, so instead I'll leave you to make your own mind up. So thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about the game that I didn't answer in the vid, or that hasn't been answered in the comments, then feel free to ask and I'll help if I can. Also, if you did find it helpful, don't forget to check out my channel, because there's plenty more like this up there, and don't forget to subscribe because there'll be plenty more to come as well. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.